The rain pounded against the window of my cramped Brooklyn apartment like accusations I couldn't escape, each drop echoing the hollow ache in my chest. I stared at the empty side of the bed where Jordan had slept for 6 years, his scent still lingering on the sheets like a cruel ghost. In that moment, as the city lights blurred through my tears, I realized he'd taken everything, not just his clothes and books, but the future we'd built together, leaving me shattered and alone. It started innocently enough, back in college at NYU, where Jordan and I first locked eyes across a crowded lecture hall. He was the confident art major with piercing green eyes and a smile that could melt steel, while I, Alex Rivera, was the quiet literature student from a small town in Ohio, still grappling with my identity in a world that didn't always understand. Our first date was at a tiny cafe in Greenwich Village, where we talked until closing time about dreams, fears, and the thrill of being openly gay in a city that pulsed with possibility. Jordan's hand brushed mine, and I felt a spark that ignited something deep within me, a love that felt destined, unbreakable. But life in New York wasn't all romance. Jordan worked as a graphic designer, hustling freelance gigs that kept him up late, while I taught high school English in Queens, grading papers until my eyes burned. We shared a shoebox apartment, dreamed of a house upstate, and navigated the everyday battles of a same-sex couple, the subtle stares on the subway, the family gatherings where my conservative relatives whispered, and the internal doubts that sometimes crept in. Yet, through it all, Jordan was my anchor. He'd surprise me with rooftop picnics overlooking the skyline, whispering promises of forever as the sun set. "Alex, you're my everything," he'd say, his voice thick with emotion. And I'd believe him because our love was real, raw, and resilient. The cracks began to show around year 4. Jordan's moods shifted like the city's unpredictable weather, sunny one day, stormy the next. He'd cancel plans, claiming work overload, but I'd catch him staring into space, lost in thoughts he wouldn't share. I chalked it up to stress, the grind of urban life wearing us down. We argued more, about money, about time, about the little things that masked bigger issues. One night, after a particularly heated fight over his late nights, he grabbed my face gently and kissed me fiercely. "I can't lose you," he murmured, and we made love with a desperation that felt like goodbye, though I didn't know it then. By year 5, the distance grew. Jordan started traveling for client meetings that lasted weeks, returning quieter, more withdrawn. I'd find him on the balcony at odd hours, smoking cigarettes he swore he'd quit, his phone clutched like a lifeline. I confronted him once, my voice trembling. "What's going on?" "Jordan, are we okay?" He pulled me close, his embrace tight but fleeting. "Of course, babe. Just work stuff." But his eyes told a different story, haunted, evasive. I wanted to believe him, to hold on to the man who'd fought beside me when my family disowned me after coming out, the one who'd held my hand at pride parades, chanting for equality with fire in his soul. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was a Tuesday in early fall, the air crisp with change. I came home from school to find our apartment half empty, his closet bare, bookshelves stripped, even the framed photo of us at Coney Island gone. On the kitchen counter, a note: "Alex, I'm sorry. I have to go. Don't look for me." No explanation, no closure, just those words scrawled in his hasty handwriting. I collapsed to the floor, sobs racking my body as the reality hit. 6 years. And he left me with nothing, not even a goodbye. The weeks that followed were a blur of agony. I called his phone obsessively, but it went straight to voicemail. Friends rallied around Mimi, best friend Mia, a fierce lesbian activist, brought takeout and tough love. "He's a coward. Alex, you deserve better." But how could I move on? Every corner of the city reminded me of him. The park where we shared our first kiss. The bar where we celebrated anniversaries. I threw myself into work, grading essays on themes of love and loss that now felt painfully ironic. Nights were the worst. Lying awake, questioning everything. Was it me? Did I push too hard? Or was there someone else? Rumors trickled in through mutual friends. Jordan had quit his job, vanished from social media. One acquaintance mentioned seeing him at an airport, heading west. California. Maybe. The uncertainty gnawed at me, turning grief into anger. I started dating casually. Meaningless hookups that left me emptier. You're healing, Mia insisted. But I knew better. Jordan had taken a piece of my heart. And without answers, I'd never get it back. Months turned into a year, and I began to rebuild. I moved to a sunnier apartment in Manhattan. Joined a support group for LGBTQ+ folks dealing with heartbreak. There, I met others with stories like mine: betrayals, abandonments, but also tales of resilience. It gave me hope, a flicker in the darkness. I even started writing again, channeling my pain into short stories about love's fragility. Life was stabilizing, though the scar remained. Then, on a rainy evening much like the one he'd left, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Alex, it's Jordan. Watch this. I'm sorry. Attached was a link. My heart raced, fingers trembling as I clicked it. The video loaded. Jordan, looking gaunt and tired, sitting in what appeared to be a hospital room. If you're seeing this, he began, his voice cracking. It means I've finally found the courage to tell you the truth. Jordan's face filled the screen. Older somehow. Lines etched around his eyes that hadn't been there before. Behind him, sterile white walls and beeping machines hinted at a place far from our vibrant New York life. Alex, he said, leaning closer to the camera. I left because I was scared. Not of us, but of what was happening to me. He paused, swallowing hard, and my breath caught in my throat. What truth could justify vanishing like that? The video continued as he explained. It started 2 years ago. A routine checkup revealed anomalies in his blood work. Doctors ran tests, and the diagnosis hit like a freight train: HIV. Positive. Jordan, my strong, invincible Jordan, had contracted it from a one-night mistake during a business trip early in our relationship. Before we committed fully, shame flooded him. He hid it, starting treatment in secret, terrified I'd leave if I knew. I couldn't bear to see pity in your eyes. He confessed, tears streaming. Or worse, fear. But the virus was the least of it. Complications arose. His immune system weakened, leading to opportunistic infections. He isolated himself, pushing me away to protect me. The late nights, doctor visits, the trips, experimental treatments in San Francisco, where specialists offered hope. I thought if I could beat this alone, I'd come back whole, he said, his voice breaking. But I was wrong. Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. I paused the video, my world spinning. HIV. In our community, it was a reality we discussed hypothetically, supporting friends through it, marching for awareness. But Jordan, he'd suffered in silence, bearing the weight of stigma that still lingered despite progress. Anger surged. How dare he decide for me? But beneath it, empathy bloomed. I hit play again. He detailed the spiral. Depression deepened. Med side effects made him irritable. The night he left, a bad reaction landed him in the ER. I panicked. Alex, thought I was dying and didn't want to drag you down. In California, he found a support network: other gay men living with HIV, thriving despite it. Therapy helped him confront his fears, the internalized homophobia from his strict Southern upbringing that made vulnerability feel like weakness. The video shifted to montages, Jordan at group meetings, laughing with new friends, medical charts showing his viral load undetectable, him volunteering at an LGBTQ plus clinic, turning pain into purpose. I've learned that love isn't about perfection, he said. It's about honesty, even when it's ugly. Then, the plea, if you can forgive me, I'm coming home. Flight lands in JFK tomorrow. Meet me if you want. No pressure. The screen faded, leaving me stunned. 6 years of love, shattered by secrets, now offered redemption through a link. I replayed it thrice. Emotions warring betrayal versus understanding. Rage versus relief. He'd left me with nothing. But this truth gave everything back. Context. Closure. A chance to rebuild. Sleep evaded me that night. I paced the apartment. Memories flooding. Our first pride together. Dancing under rainbow flags. Feeling invincible. The quiet evenings reading aloud from my favorite novels. His head in my lap. But also the fights. The unspoken tensions I'd ignored. Was I partly to blame for not pushing harder? No. This was on him. But forgiveness whispered possibilities. Dawn broke. And I made my decision. I texted Mia, Jordan's back. HIV positive. Explained everything. Her response was immediate. Holy shit. You okay? Need backup? I smiled through tears. I'm going to the airport. Wish me luck. JFK buzzed with arrivals. Families reuniting. Lovers embracing. I stood at the gate. Heart pounding like a drum. What if he looked different? What if the spark was gone? Doubts swirled. But beneath them, love endured tested. But true. Then, there he was. Jordan emerged from the crowd. Suitcase in hand. Eyes scanning desperately. When they met mine, time stopped. He dropped his bag, rushing forward, and I met him halfway. Our embrace was fierce, bodies remembering what words couldn't say. Alex, he whispered, voice muffled in my shoulder. I'm so sorry. We pulled back, tears mingling. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, voice raw. Fear, he admitted. Stupid, crippling fear. But I'm here now. Undetectable. Healthy. And I want to fight for us. If you'll have me. In that terminal, amid strangers' glances, we talked. Not just about his journey, but mind the loneliness, the growth. I shared my writing. How his absence fueled stories of resilience in the LGBT community. He listened, eyes shining with pride. You've always been stronger than me, he said. We left the airport hand in hand, the city welcoming us back. Over coffee in a familiar village spot. Plans formed, couples therapy. Open communication. Advocacy work together. Jordan had connected with organizations like GMHC, and he wanted me involved. We can help others avoid my mistakes, he said earnestly. But rekindling wasn't instant. Trust rebuilt slowly, like mending a broken vase. Our first night back, we lay in bed, talking until sunrise. He described the isolation of diagnosis, the stigma that made him hide. In our world, we're supposed to be out and proud. But illness, it felt like failure. I held him, whispering assurances, you're not defined by this. We're in it together. Weeks passed, blending joy and challenges. Jordan's health stabilized, but flares reminded us of fragility. I got tested negative. Thankfully, we navigated precautions with care, turning them into acts of intimacy. Friends welcomed him back warily. Mia grilling him over dinner. Hurt Alex again. And I'll end you. He laughed, promising forever. Our love deepened, laced with newfound honesty. We attended support groups, sharing our story to inspire. One evening, at a fundraiser, Jordan spoke publicly. HIV doesn't end love. Secrets do. I almost lost the best thing in my life because I hid. Applause erupted. And I beamed, proud of his courage. Yet, doubts lingered. Late one night, as rain pattered again, I confessed, what if it's too much? He cupped my face. Then we face it together. That's the vow I should have made years ago. As months turned into a year, our relationship evolved into something stronger, more profound. We moved to a cozy brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, filling it with art Jordan created inspired by his journey. Vibrant canvases depicting resilience and love. I published a collection of stories, dedicating it to him, to Jordan, who taught me that broken hearts can heal. Sales were modest, but the impact rippled. Readers wrote letters about finding hope in our mirrored struggles. Challenges persisted. Jordan's meds sometimes caused fatigue, canceling date nights. But we adapted, turning quiet evenings into opportunities for closeness, cooking meals from his southern roots, sharing dreams under blankets. Sex, once carefree, became mindful, but no less passionate. It reinforced our bond, proving love transcends physical hurdles. The LGBT community embraced us. We volunteered at youth centers, mentoring queer teens navigating identity and health. One kid, a shy 17-year-old named Tyler, reminded me of myself, scared, uncertain. How do you deal with the fear? He asked. Jordan answered, by leaning on those who love you. Don't hide like I did. Watching him guide others filled me with awe. His pain had forged empathy. Family reconciliation added layers. My parents, after years of silence, reached out via email. We've seen the news about HIV awareness. We're sorry for everything. It wasn't perfect, but a tentative dinner in Ohio bridged gaps. Jordan charmed them with stories, humanizing our world. His own family remained distant, but he found peace. Blood isn't everything. Chosen family is. Drama resurfaced when an ex from Jordan's past messaged me anonymously, claiming infidelity during his trips. Heart sinking. I confronted him. Is it true? He sighed, admitting a brief lapse in judgment post-diagnosis, fueled by self-destruction. It meant nothing. Alex. I was lost. Betrayal stung anew. But therapy helped unpack if his actions stemmed from despair, not disloyalty. We worked through it, emerging closer. Vows renewed in a private ceremony at Central Park. Rings exchanged under blooming cherry trees. Life's gaycouple moments kept us on our toes. Jordan's health scary. A minor infection landed him in the hospital, testing our resolve. I sat by his bed, holding his hand as machines beeped. Don't leave me, I whispered. He smiled weakly. Never again. Recovery was swift, but it underscored mortality, prompting us to live fully. Trips to Provincetown, advocating in D.C. for better healthcare access. Romance flourished amid the chaos. Anniversaries became grand, a surprise weekend in the Hamptons, where we walked beaches at sunset, reaffirming love. After all this, you're still my everything, he'd say, kissing me softly. Our intimacy deepened, emotional barriers crumbling. Yet, the story's true turning point came unexpectedly. Jordan received an award for his advocacy, a gala in San Francisco inviting us back to where his secrets began. Nervous, he confided, this city haunts me. I squeezed his hand. We'll face it together. The event was electric. Speeches on progress, tears for losses. Jordan's acceptance. My partner Alex saved me, not from illness, but from myself. Love wins when we choose truth. Post-gala, we wandered the Castro, hand in hand. Remember when I came here alone? He mused. Terrified. I nodded. Now look at us. That night, In our hotel, passion reignited with fervor, bodies and souls entwined. Back in New York, inspiration struck. Jordan proposed a joint project, a graphic novel blending my words with his art, chronicling our saga. To show others they're not alone, he said. We poured hearts into its sketches of our first meeting. Panels of heartbreak, pages of redemption, publisher's bit, and linked by love hit shelves, resonating widely. Reviews praised its raw emotion, humanizing HIV in queer relationships. Success brought media attention. Interviews delved into our journey, sparking conversations on stigma. One talk show host asked, "What changed everything?" Jordan glanced at me. That link wasn't just a video. It was my heart laid bare. I added, "And choosing forgiveness." Personal growth paralleled. I confronted my insecurities, realizing I'd enabled his silence by not probing deeper. Jordan learned vulnerability's strength. Together, we embodied resilience, proving love's endurance. As years blurred, our bond solidified. We adopted a rescue dog, named Hope, symbolizing new beginnings. Evenings on our stoop, watching the world, felt like victory. 6 years dating, 1 year apart, and now forever. Jordan toasted one anniversary. But fate tested us once more. Jordan's condition stabilized, but a global health crisis echoing his own isolated us. Quarantine amplified intimacy, but also fears. What if? He'd whisper. Then we fight. I'd reply, echoing his earlier words. Emerging stronger, we planned a wedding small, intimate, in the village where it began. Vows exchanged, in sickness and health. Truth and love. Mia officiated, tears flowing. The ceremony was magical. Friends toasting our journey. From heartbreak to happily ever after. Mia quipped. Honeymoon in Hawaii followed beaches. Sunsets. Unhurried love. This is our second chance. Jordan murmured. Waves crashing. Back home, life settled into beautiful routine. Our book toured. Inspiring workshops. One session. A young couple approached. Your story saved our relationship. He hid his diagnosis. We talked because of you. Tears welled. Impact realized. Challenges evolved. Aging in the community brought new worries. Healthcare access. Retirement. But we advocated fiercely, lobbying for policies. Jordan's art gallery show featured pieces on queer longevity, drawing crowds. Intimacy remained electric, spiced by experience. You're more beautiful now, he'd say, tracing scars literal and metaphorical. A pivotal moment, Jordan's viral load stayed undetectable, but a routine scan revealed a shadow-early cancer, linked to immunosuppression. Panic gripped us. Not again. I cried. He held me. Together. Remember. Treatment was grueling chemo. Fatigue. I took leave. Caregiving with love. Nights. I'd read to him, echoing our early days. Community rallied meals. Visits. Support mirroring what he'd found in California. Remission came. A miracle. You pulled me through, he said. I shook my head. We did. This trial crystallized our message, love's power in adversity. We updated our book, adding chapters on enduring illness, emphasizing prevention, testing, compassion. Years later, at 50, we reflected on that fateful link. It changed everything, I said, cuddling on the couch. Forever, he agreed. Our legacy. Mentoring. Writing. Living openly. Tyler, now an adult, credited us for his confidence. You showed me love wins. In quiet moments, gratitude overflowed. Jordan's abandonment, born of fear, led to profound growth. We weren't perfect, but authentic. The end came peacefully. Decades on, Jordan passed first, surrounded by loved ones, his hand in mine. "Thank you for forgiving," he whispered. "My everything." Grief was immense, but his spirit endured in our home. Art, the lives touched. I continued advocating, honoring him. Looking back, that link wasn't just revelation. It was salvation. From nothing to everything, love's transformative power. In America's diverse tapestry, our story echoed. For LGBT folks, resilience blooms from truth, community from shared pain. Kitsch tin faded into meaning, forgiveness heals, love eternal. And so, I lived on, carrying our legacy, heart full,